Right, so I like to say Barak Hawa, Barak Hawa Shah, Barak Hawa, Barak Hawa Shah, Bahashem Rakaha Kadash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS, and salutations to you brothers out there that's doing this work in truth and sincerity. So let's get straight into Deuteronomy, the 6th chapter. It says, "Now these are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments which the Lord your power commanded to teach you, that ye might do them in the land whither ye go to possess it, that thou mightest fear the Lord thy power, to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command thee, thou and thy sons and thy sons' sons, and all the days of thy life, and that thy days may be prolonged. Hear therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with thee, and that ye may increase mightily, as the Lord power of thy fathers hath promised thee, and a land that floweth with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our power is one power, and thou shalt love the Lord thy power with all thine heart." And how do you love the Lord? Right? How do you love the Lord? And then the 6th chapter is pretty much explaining how you love the Lord, period. Right? So this is 1 John chapter 5, verse 3. "For this is the love of the Most High, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous." So this is how you love the Lord. Right? Right? So this is also Romans 13:10. And the scripture says, "Love worketh no ill to his neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law." Right? So love is the fulfilling of the law. So let's go back to the book of Deuteronomy, the 6th chapter. So again, it says 6 and 5, and thou shalt love thy power, the Lord, thy power with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up." And these laws are set to put a difference between us and the other nations. So though we are in the land of our captivity, we strive to rehearse the righteous acts. Right? So this is the book of Judges, chapter 5, verse 11. And the scripture says, "They that are delivered from the noise of archers and the places of drawn water, there shall they rehearse the righteous acts of the Lord, even the righteous acts towards the inhabitants of his villages in Israel. Then shall the people of the Lord go down to the gate." So what we are set out to do, again, though we are in the land of our captivity, we are set out to rehearse the righteous acts. And we use wisdom in doing so, right? Because if we didn't use wisdom, or we wasn't walking around being wise men according to the word of Yahweh Shai, then ultimately what will happen is that you will be putting homosexuals to death and getting locked up for it. You'll be putting your wife to death and getting locked up for it. Right? You'll be just unwisely wearing your fringes and end up getting fired for them. Now, a job wouldn't fire you straight way for your fringes or your ZZs, but they will find a excuse to fire you. So this is why you have to be wise in doing so and allowing your captivity, right? So verse 9, actually, Salaki, I don't know what happened here. Let's go back to Deuteronomy 6. So Deuteronomy 6 and 7, "And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children." Right? You got to teach these laws unto your children, or you'll have situation that you have today with children being completely out of order. Your sons and daughters are completely out of order. Your daughters are wearing skin tight clothes, pants, right? being disobedient unto their elders, their parents, no honor amongst the family members, of the sons and daughters showing forth towards their mother and father. It's completely out of order. It's in disarray, right? Because you're living in a society where they allow you to do whatever you want to. You can, tell your parents to F off, or call them the B word, or call them whatever you want to, and what more could they do to you but kick you out of the house? So the thing is that this is why the Most High set it out for us to teach our children, our sons and our daughters, the laws, the statutes, commandments, because it will show them how to walk correctly, right? When you looking at these girls today and these boys today, look how completely out of order they are. They're confused about their gender, right? Whether or not they want to be a boy or a girl. And then they have all of that nonsense all in your TV shows, right? Put a little boy in girl clothing, right? Because they say that he's confused about his gender. That's madness, man. You're creating confusion. This is why the scriptures tell you in Job 9:24 that the earth was given into the hands of the wicked. So the wicked is going to turn the earth upside down on how he wants it, right? So let's keep going. It says, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and thou shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thy house. But what if the kids being taught to do? They being taught to twerk. They're being taught to celebrate Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween, New Year's, Easter, right? Dr. Martin Luther King Day, Veterans Day, right? President's Day, Independence Day, whatever you want to call them. They're being taught all the things of the world, but not being taught in the ways of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And this is why you have death in the earth to begin with. And that might be my next video that I might go into. Is why is there death on the earth? And we have made, multiple videos on the same topics. But it's okay. It's all right. Because what needs to be said have to be said repeatedly. Because one thing about the so-called Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans is that it goes into one end and out the other one. You literally have to consistently say the same thing over and hope that the spirit is in them to listen, because we know in fact that 2/3 of our people, the spirit isn't in them to listen. Like Yahweh said, when you go to John 10:27, my sheep hear my voice, right? And the voice of the Lord are the prophets. But it's what the prophets will be speaking about as how the Lord is speaking, right? And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in our house. I remember watching a video. You had an elderly woman. She told her grandchildren, if a man doesn't make you happy, then leave him and get another. Like, whoa, you teaching adultery, right? The only time separation within a relationship can happen if the husband die, or he put her away for some wicked cause she committed, right? And she go be a husband into another. These are only two situations is when a woman can leave her husband and go into another. But you have women who have had sex with more than 30 guys, right? They do threesomes and foursomes and a bunch of abominable abomination, right? But as long as when you have the elder generation teaching the children these things, then this is the madness. Shoot, you even got the elder women, elder men looking and dressing like the new generation. So at this point, you can't even tell whether or not if they're the elders, right? The elders, right, is supposed to teach the children how to walk in a righteous path. But instead, they're teaching them that they could do and believe whatever they want to. And this is why a lot of you are ending up dead. This is why a lot of you are ending up dead, because you're listening to those that are destroyed, right? You're listening to those who whether do their own thing instead of following the ways of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, which is leading them to destruction. Because ultimately, they don't want to hear the voice of the Lord. About 2 weeks back on a Saturday, when we was out in the highways and byways, you had two so-called black women walk up, and one of them was in a wheelchair. And what we was talking about, they had no interest in. Because the thing is with women, they're all about emotions and feelings and want to feel good 24 hours a day. They're not about reason. They're not about understanding. That's not what they're about. This is why women were made for the men. They was made for the carnality of the men. Right? So let's keep going. It says, and thou shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thy house. Now, do they talk about the laws and statutes and commandments in the house? No. They're talking about setting up, they're talking about Christmas. They're talking about putting lights up. They're talking about the so-called white Santa Claus and leaving cookies out for the Edomite Santa Claus. Yeah, or Halloween and putting on wicked costumes and doing witchcraft, right? Or Easter, right? Hiding eggs or watching a bunny rabbit jump around, supposedly laying eggs all over the place. Those are the things that they're talking about, instead of actually talking about things that'll profit them through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And what will profit us is to get out of America, out of the captivity of our enemies, right? And praying to the Most High to establish a new heavens and a new earth, right? And in all three, which is keeping the laws and statutes, commandments, rehearsing the righteous acts, and believing, and with that shows that you believe, which it shows your work. That's why I say three, right? The law, statutes, commandments, which shows your work, and your work shows that you believe in Yahweh, Yahweh Shah, Yahweh the Father, and Yahweh Shah the Son, right? So it says, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up, and thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thy eyes, right? And thou shalt write them upon the post of thy house and on thy gates. And it shall be when the Lord thy power shall have brought thee unto the land which he sware unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, and to give thee great and godly cities which thou buildest not, and houses full of all good things which thou fillest not, and wells dig which thou diggest not, vineyards and olive trees which thou plantest not. When thou shalt have eaten and be full, then beware lest thou forget the Lord which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage. Thou shalt fear the Lord thy power, and serve him, and shalt swear by his name. That's why the name is very important. Because in order for Israel to be delivered out of here, we got to call upon his name, right? When you go back into the book of Matthew, I believe the 14th chapter, when Peter walked on the water, he called out to Yahweh Shah, and Yahweh Shah saved him, right? So it's the importance of the name as well, right? Ye shall not go after other gods, of the people which are round about you, right? That's the first thing our people do, is go chasing after the things of our enemies. That's why the scriptures tell you in Jeremiah 10:2, go not into the way of the heathen, go not into the way of the heathen, right? This is why we ain't at captivity to begin with. What is that? Isaiah 5:13, ye have went into captivity because you have no knowledge, right? It says, verse 15, for the Lord thy power is a jealous power among you, lest the anger of the Lord thy power be kindled against you, and destroy thee from off the face of the earth. Ye shall not tempt the Lord your power, as ye tempted him in Messiah, I believe, if that's correct. Ye shall diligently keep the commandments of the Lord your power, and his testimonies and his statutes, which he hath commanded thee. And thou shalt do that which is right and good, in the sight of the Lord, that it may be well with thee, and thou shalt and that thou mayest go in and possess the good land which the Lord sware unto thy fathers. But other than that, I'm gonna end it from there and say Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shah. Lord willing, this was edifying.